How was that last night, Mike?
It was a lot of fun, Dan. Thank you. It's been a long time coming. There's been a lot of rumors about it through the years. We never seriously got together and even thought of it till this time because there's just a lot of moving parts. But it was for charity and kind of the right time, right place. Can't turn down going to Radio City Music Hall. I mean, that's a big deal. I mean, very big deal. And it was a great night. It really is. The people put in a lot of work. The Garden people and the Radio City people put a tremendous amount of work into it. So everything came off great. And we actually got through the night without any problems. We didn't have any fights or anything. So it was good. Really, that's all overblown. You know, it just creates a little tension. Our relationship has really never been as bad as people made it.
Go back to the late 80s and just the concept of 24/7 sports talk radio. When you first heard what was going to happen, what was your reaction to that?
You know, I was amazed. I remember I was actually on a plane with Pat Musburger, and in my job where I traveled with him extensively all the time. I mean, I was one of the Musburger Mafia at the time, and the concept came up, and he and I were discussing work or not, and to his credit, he thought it would work. I was skeptical, and especially skeptical in a town like New York, because New York is such a big town, so diverse, so cosmopolitan, and so international. I wondered whether it could really take off. And when they started it, when I went in and met with them, I thought they were definitely going down the wrong road, because I knew bringing in strangers to New York would be a very hard sell. And it was an utter disaster for a while until they got on the right path and made it what it has to be. If you want to be really successful in a town, you have to be live and local. Otherwise, it's not going to work, especially in a town like New York. I mean, because it's a town that really, believe it or not, takes to its own very strongly.
But when did you know you had something with Chris?
Well, you know, it's funny. We both had some success breaking through on our own, doing solo shows in the 6 months leading up to the beginning of our show. They put us together against our will. We both wanted the afternoon drive. We knew they weren't renewing Pete Franklin. I was a candidate. Dog was a candidate. Both of us were working, doing stints on Imus in the morning. Imus favored Dog at the time more than he favored me. And so I knew the only way I could go was with him. We had a lot of people pulling us in opposite directions. Almost all of the station and all of the New York critics were against it. Every one of them thought it was a terrible idea. They wrote it was a terrible idea. And frankly, the first couple of weeks, the reviews were awful. The guy who put it together, Mark Mason, thought he was going to get fired. He brought us in a room and said, listen, if you guys don't make this work, you're not going to be here and I'm not going to be here. And then we started a promotion called Dog Date Afternoon that he took to, which I give him credit for. He was single at the time. I wasn't. We petitioned people for dates. We put a whole thing together. He was a very good sport about it. It kind of softened everything. And really, though, Dan, it was more result-oriented than anything else. We got the first book back, and we had gone from 11th to 3rd in the first book. And then it was, wait a second, what's going on here? By the second book, we were first by a mile. And then you knew had taken the whole city by storm. So within 6 months, we had gone from it will never work, we hate each other, to we were the toast of the town. So then there was no looking back, even though we had some problems, and we always had problems, because we were individuals that fought each other the whole time while we were a good team together, and that never ceased. But I think that also created a lot of the heat that created such a good show.
He's Mike Francesa, WFAN radio host, Afternoon Drive, joining us, Dan Patrick Show. But then that's part of the tension, the friction that you need. If it was somebody who was similar to you, you wouldn't have had that dynamic. The fact that you guys were opposite in personality and style, it's just like a boxing match. You know, style's made for great radio.
Dan, completely. And you know this. You were part of an iconic team yourself, and obviously, and a trailblazer with what you did. And people now try to copy with a Sports Center and everything else. You guys blazed that whole path. So it's also right time, right place, which is something that you're very lucky about in life. If you hit things at the exact right time, we hit it. We hit sports radio craze. We started it. We were right in the right place at the right time, which you can never even calculate how important that is. But more important, the things that we did differently than any other team that's ever been put together. When you have a radio show that's a pair, and now you have threes and fours, which I don't understand, but even the pair, the tandem, we never shut our show down. We never vacationed together so the show was off or on as a team. We each worked the show individually for weeks at a time when we were off, and we looked forward to those times. And we each did solo shows on the weekends. So we always maintained an individual personality and always brought that individual personality into the show every day. And that's why the show never got old.
What do you think of sports radio now?
I think it's gone the way everything goes that's had 20 years. No one blazes a path anymore. Everybody looks for the same thing. Everybody does the same thing. And the kids who are going to come up and be successful are the ones who are going to find a way to be a different voice and to stand out. That's what Dog and I did. We were unique talents, and unique talents are the ones that are going to blaze the path in the next generation. You don't want cookie cutter. And I think that's a problem in every part of this industry now, is they want to program people who don't cause problems, talent that can be managed, people that aren't expensive, and who fit into a very distinct mold where anybody can do it. And I think that's the worst thing for finding people who are going to be really successful.
The most important athlete or person outside of you and Mad Dog and the help that it gave your show. Can you single out somebody?
I think there were events that really singled out our show. There was not one character, one person who really helped us that much. There were certain people, and it was more events. We were able to tap in to Pat Riley. He was great to us. We were able to tap into Bill Parcells. He was very good to us. I was very close to him. We were able to get them when we needed them, before a big game, the day before a big game. Pat Riley would give us a half hour at 5 o'clock the night of a Game 7. So stuff like that was indispensable if you could have those connections. And the events. New York's an event town. That's all it is. New York's a front-running town. It goes on to the next team, the next event. When you're having a bad season in New York, they turn the page and they go to the next team. All right, you're gone. Forget it. Knicks are bad. Let's wait for the Yankees. All right, the Rangers are in the playoffs. We'll ride them. Oh, now we'll get on the Met bandwagon. Now we'll get on the Giant bandwagon. Whatever it is, it's an event town. It's the team that's winning at the moment, and it is the big game at the moment. That's what drives New York, and that's what always drove our show. We always wanted to be part of the big event, and we were able for all the years we were there to be the show that was always there at the big event.
I know that a lot of people ask this and have continued to ask this the last 8 years about you and Mad Dog Russo getting back together. But I understand it's almost like when you separate from somebody or you get divorced and you get back together and you go, man, maybe it wasn't as bad as I thought, or maybe we could make this work again. It's hard to recapture something because that's what people are going to expect. You guys made it look natural for one night. Bigger picture here. Who makes that first move or call if you guys would do this again on a regular basis? I don't
think it ever happens on a regular basis, I'm going to be honest with you. I really don't. I think part of it, Dan, is our business has changed dramatically. And I don't think our show is economically feasible anymore. You know, there was no anger or problem when he left. He went because he had an opportunity that intrigued him. And he thought it was time. We always were still individuals, even though we were inside a team. We did not just live inside the team ever. We always still lived it as individuals. And he saw something that was an opportunity for him, and he seized it. We didn't have anything going on at that moment. Now, we haven't remained very close. I've seen him more in the last 2 months preparing for this show than I have in the last 8 years. I mean, I hadn't seen him sometimes a year at a time. But when we have, it's been cordial. We had done a couple of half hours together at a couple of events, a Super Bowl, a Yankee playoff game, and everyone went crazy when we did it. I don't see it happening. I think it could happen. I don't think there'd be any problem for us. But I think what would eventually become a problem is he's gotten very used to now calling all the shots about what he wants to do. I've gotten very used to calling all the shots about what I want to do. And I think that's where you run into problems, is when you want to push direction. You want to do this, I want to do that. You want to do this, I want to do that. That was always the issues. It was more about philosophy. Do we go to this event? Do we not go to this event? Do we do this? Do we do that? Those were always the things that became the issues. It was never the on-air stuff. It was always the other things that became the issues.
I'll leave you with this. The last guest you can pick. Your final show, whenever that is. Who would be your last guest?
If I could talk to one person right now, it would be Tiger Woods. I would, because to me, now the guest we always wanted was Joe DiMaggio. He was kind of like the get we never got. We tried every different way to get Joe DiMaggio. We had Ted Williams. We had almost everybody you can think of. Mickey Mantle many times, Joe Namath. We wanted DiMaggio. We tried every which way to get him. We could not get to him and get him to sit down with us. But right now, if I could do one guest, the thing that fascinates me, his fall from grace, from being so dynamic and so as good a winner as I've ever seen at anything. To watch this fall from grace, to me, I would love to sit and actually talk to him about what has gone on with this guy. That would fascinate me, I think, more than any other athlete right now.
Congrats. It was fun to watch last night, and thanks for joining us, Mike.
My pleasure, Dan. Thank you.
All right. Mike Francesa.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.